Hello, and welcome back to plantcare.club, where we care about your plants. My name's Fred.
My name's Maddie.
And on this show, we do three things. Number one, we'll talk about your plants, everything you've got. Number two, we'll do plant product reviews. And number three, we answer your questions. So if you have any questions, head to plantcare.club, fill out the form there, just name and email address, and then you can upload pictures and some text and say like, hey, here's a problem that I'm having.
Yeah.
And we'll answer it either over email or on the show.
Yeah.
So today we are, how about you introduce? Who are we? Really quick. You have like 30 seconds to do it.
Okay, super quick. Brother and sister, we grew up on a greenhouse farm together. Greenhouse, we grow outdoor plants, like usually for your gardens, and we also bring in tropicals from Florida. And so there's kind of that expertise part from Fred because he works in the greenhouse. So his job, what we're here to do today is basically just help you understand how to take care of your outdoor and indoor house plants. And I'm here to also just like bring that down to layman's terms so that we can all understand how to take care of our plants.
Yeah, we ship our plants across Canada and the United States.
Yep.
And the goal here is to take the information that we have in the greenhouse or in the nursery and apply that to your own home.
Mm-hmm.
Today is incredibly applicable for that, because while I was, and the original idea for this was I was at a plant show, and one day I walk in the morning before everyone else shows up, and all these booths are filled with plants and everything looks really nice, but everyone in the morning has what's right behind me, this leaf shine. They're spraying that all over their plants. They're just with the little squirt bottles, and they're spraying it all over, and then they're wiping the leaf shine off, and it makes it look oily and like really nice afterwards, shiny afterwards.
Shiny, bold, yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is kind of a trick. If you saw this plant in the nursery versus right now, it might look like 15%, 20% better right now.
Yeah.
So what are other ways that growers, quote unquote, like trick the end consumer, growers or garden centers?
Yeah.
So that's the idea. That's the plan for today.
How
do growers, garden centers trick their customers? So number one is leaf shine. Now, and when I say trick, it's not a bad thing. It's more marketing than anything else. Like, it's more just trying to jazz things up, make it look a little bit better.
Yeah, you're not going to want to buy a dusty plant. Like, if you walk in, you see a dusty plant, you're going to think that's an old plant. Like, why isn't it getting taken? So it's not. Yeah. It's the plant's still healthy. It's fine. It's just maybe leaf shine would help them somewhere.
So many other products have the same thing, right? Like, you've heard of, I'm sure we've all heard of those products like, oh, it didn't sell at all when it had this branding, but when it changed to this branding, it suddenly sold a whole lot more, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of idea. Leaf shine is the first one. So leaf shine is like an oily wax film sort of thing that goes over top of the leaves. You spray this onto the leaf of the plant. Usually you wipe it off right after, and it just makes the leaf glisten. It becomes, you could see here, it's like shiny. It's shiny. That's the easiest way to say it.
And the colors look more bold. Is it safe for like a consumer to do this at home? Maybe their plant's looking a little bit dull or dusty. You can just use a shiner.
If you're watching, all the products behind me, these are basically all consumer items that you can probably buy on Amazon. So yeah, there's lots of different leaf shines that you can use if you have people coming over for an event or something. The key with this though, you can't use it on all leaves. Like leaves that are less tropical, let's say like a poinsettia.
Oh yeah.
You can't use it on poinsettia. Like they have a more open, like fibrous sort of, like it has almost a hairy leaf.
Yeah.
Versus if you do Monstera, no problem.
Yeah, easy. Monstera, like more like a rubbery leaf would be fine.
Yes. Yeah, rubbery.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, next up, cover pots. Cover pots are easy ones. Like that's an easy one. But when you put a cover pot on a plant, on a 10-inch plant, like it makes it look so much different.
Yeah.
Some of the actual grower pots too, because they are grown in a nursery, that nursery will have like aisleways down each, rows between the beds.
Yeah.
And it's very common for, like during a rain, vehicles driving by, like a quad or even like small trucks or something like that, and it splashes onto the pots. And then the pots get all of that like brown mud on the side of it.
Yeah, okay.
So if you, instead of having to clean all of that off and really wash that pot, if you just throw a cover pot on it, it makes it like immediately look so much better.
Poinsettia is a perfect example of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the regular green pot doesn't look horrible, but when you got like a shiny red or gold or silver cover pot on that,
Yeah.
it does look more attractive and more like
Now,
Christmassy.
that's a good one to bring up too, because poinsettias, they will have leaves all the way down to the bottom, but once you get closer to the bottom of the plant, the leaves are smaller because those were the original leaves that the plant really had at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it looks more sparse at the bottom, but once you put that cover on top of it, you don't see all that kind of like gaps in the bottom of the plant.
True. Okay, that makes sense.
So cover pots are another way to like mask it and make your plants look a little bit better once they get in. Do you have anything else?
I was just gonna add like there's cover pots, but what even about like regular pots? Let's say even the pansy pots we use, the colored ones, like you can get a pink and a purple and a blue one. Really, it just sounds like these are marketing tactics.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that it's a trick though.
No.
Like I'll use a cover pot as a little bit of a trick because it's a last minute jazz that you throw onto it.
Okay.
But the actual pot that you grow it in, like, you know, a purple or a pink or a yellow, like we use those colors for Easter, and those are fine.
That's what they're grown in. Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair.
That's just part of the season.
Okay.
Okay, moss on dish garden. So if you're buying a dish garden, generally, like, okay, let's say you've got a 12-inch one, you got 4 or 5 different plants in there.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, those are planted on like an assembly line. So first it gets filled with dirt, or if dirt goes in the bottom, maybe it's like a few inches in the very bottom of it. Then the next spot, they put in like 1 plant, then 2 plants. Like they're actually potting this up as it's going along.
Mm-hmm.
And the last stop is usually just moss that goes in there, or like some kind of little fibery thing, like longer stranded.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because it's not always real. It's sometimes like fake, like this. Yeah,
most of the time it is fake. Yeah. And the goal there is to just fill in the holes, fill in the gaps, and just fill up that whole pot.
Okay.
To make it look a little bit fuller.
Same idea as sometimes you'll see a little dish of succulents and they'll put little rocks inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it look more full. You can't see, when you can't see the dirt, it looks like a more full plant that you're getting.
Yeah, rocks are another great example.
Yeah.
They use the exact same thing.
Okay.
So that's another little way. Decent trick. Not like a real, it doesn't, I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't change the plants that are in there at all.
No.
And I guess it fills in the spots. It's good for everybody. It doesn't cause any problems to the actual, to the plant, to the life of it. And if you're buying a dish garden, you might not be having it for too long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because eventually, usually the plants that are in a dish garden, they're there for some kind of a season or a holiday or something like that you're buying it for. And then eventually they grow at different levels, or they take different levels of water, and then one plant starts to die. Some people just abandon the whole thing, or they'll take it all apart. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that moss is going to help you out for like a month or two. Really?
Yeah, I guess the trick is really just like, this might not be as full of a plant as you think it is, because it appears to be fuller. But yeah.
Okay, next one I have is stakes that are used to hold up floppy plants. So a classic example is a ficus column. This is just a regular Ficus lyrata, and most of the time these are grown as bushes, like a ficus bush, and it's like a relatively compact plant. But if they are not pinched at the right time, or if they're not pinched at all, and the plan is, we're going to sell it within a certain time, but the nursery doesn't get them sold at that time, they'll just keep growing and growing. Like the Ficus lyrata can grow really quickly.
Yeah. And
then once it gets to a certain point, it'll start to fall over. So then what they do is they throw a bamboo in it, and then they'll stake it to the bamboo.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden it's a different product. They call it a ficus column instead of a ficus bush.
Oh, I see. And is it not as strong when they do this? Well, obviously it needs that stake, but it's just not as strong of a plant?
It's just so top heavy. It wasn't like, that wasn't the goal. It was supposed to be something different, but then the timing sort of got away from them and they weren't able to sell it. And so it's like, okay, well, either we throw this plant out, we try to do a really hard pinch now, and then we'll be able to sell it in weeks or something, or we just stake it to a bamboo and then hopefully sell it.
Yeah, probably at a cheaper price too.
No, probably usually at the same price.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah,
okay.
Usually it's around the same pricing. So,
interesting.
Yeah, you can find that with ficus columns. Okay, another one. Hanging baskets. So if you are in a garden center and you're looking at hanging baskets and you're looking from below them,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that can be a little bit of a trick. The one I'm thinking of the most is like petunias or million bell.
Million Bell came to my mind too.
So when you're walking along and you look up, you can see million bell hanging baskets, and they've got all that color coming over the sides of it, and it just looks beautiful.
Yep.
But then once you get it down, sometimes in the very center of it, they have like a dead spot.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for growers to stop from happening. The goal with a million bell is to really sell it once it mounds and it gets just over the edge of the pot, like maybe an inch or two. If it's 5-6 inches long over the edge of the pot, then it's very likely that the center of that is like dead or dying or
Probably because it's so heavy, right? It's like almost, yeah. Interesting.
usually no. I don't know if it's that it's so heavy. I think it's that the plant is saying I don't need the middle here anymore. I'm going to focus on the growth on the outside of the plant.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So it's really growing out the sides, but it doesn't need to grow in the middle any longer. It doesn't need to focus on that spot. Plus, that is where most of the time the water is put on the plant. So whether it's like being dripped in from an irrigation system or it's being like hand watered on or something, that's usually where the water is hitting it. And million bell can be susceptible to like a mold or just like abandoning those leaves because they get too wet, too fungusy, whatever.
What about ferns?
Um,
You see them hanging up often. I feel like sometimes you see them hanging up. Sorry.
I don't think so. I don't think so with ferns because Bostons have more of a habit of growing
Up and out.
up and out all at the same time.
Okay.
So I don't think I've seen it too often with ferns.
I guess it's something good to look out for.
Mhm.
Yeah, before you like just walk out with it.
Any of the big trailing plants, like if you see it that's really trailing, you definitely want to take a look. And if you are in a garden center and you take that plant down, you're gonna see it right away if it's got that kind of a hole in the middle.
Totally. Okay.
Okay, sleeves. Sleeves is the next one, which the common saying is everything looks better in the sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, picture that million bell plant that we were just talking about, and it's got that hole in the middle, but all this beautiful foliage on the side or beautiful flowers on the side. Once you put that into a sleeve, all those flowers are going to fold up and sit inside the sleeve. So if you put all of those flowers all together and they're all sort of touching, and it's all the way up, you got to sleeve up the side. When you look down into it, all you're going to see is flowers.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
That's it, exactly. So if you are buying a plant that's still in the sleeve, like no, you got to take the sleeve off to take a good look at how it actually looks.
I think a big one for that too would be poinsettias again, because I've noticed sometimes when you take the sleeve off, a branch will like come off or something, and then if you've already bought it when it's in the sleeve, the branch comes off. It can look a little bit.
I think all poinsettias are really sold in the sleeve.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when they get shipped to the store, some of the stores might take them out of the sleeve, but I think most of the time they are. I've seen a lot of them that are on shipping racks, like sitting in the store in sleeves.
I guess it's an interesting concept to be like, ask if you can take it out of the sleeve to check just before, because that would be common to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
You could. You'd have to be careful on how you take the sleeve off too, though, because if you're taking it off the wrong way, if you're taking it off from the top down, then all of a sudden you could like break things.
Yeah, you'll break it.
Right? Then you might break it, and then
yeah, definitely. Okay.
Last one that I have on here is seed plants versus cuttings. So specifically, let's say geraniums is what comes to mind. And I think I've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again, and I'm going to bring it up here if you're watching. Okay, so when you are planting your garden, you want, let's say you're getting 4-inch or 6-inch pots, and you are going to plant a bunch of geraniums in there, or a bunch of some type of plant. If you just go to the store and you try to get, let's say, these from Lowe's that are specifically in the cell packs or ready for your garden, the genetics behind that plant might be more suitable to the cell pack versus what you want in your garden. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to plant 10 of these in the garden and they're all going to grow really rapidly and they're going to spread very quickly, that might not be what the genetics are for. The genetics could be that this plant is supposed to stay compact and it is supposed to stay the right size for a 4-inch pot.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
It is not meant to grow as big as you want it to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Versus if you look at some you might be thinking, oh, I want it to really get big. And then you're looking for a landscape variety. And if you're looking for a landscape variety, that thing's just going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
But growers don't usually put that into smaller pots.
Oh, I see.
And they don't put it in there because if they don't sell it at the right time, that plant's going to be way too big.
Yeah, you're not going
And the retailer's going to have a hard time too.
Yeah.
So the grower, let's say you plant one and it's growing really rapidly. They've got like a 3-4 day window to really to move the plant to the retailer, and the retailer's got to sell it by the weekend.
Yeah.
Because if they wait too long, it's going to get way too big for the 4-inch pot, and then all of a sudden it's going to look nasty. No one's going to like it. No one's going to want it.
Okay, so the genetics not necessarily like the specific kind of plant. Like I know you said geranium, but like it'd be the sub variety of the geranium.
Yeah, exactly. Let me just see if I can pull up. Let's see if we can. Okay, this might. Oh no, this is a YouTube video, but this might show you like if you look around, if you Google some of the breeders' names, they're going to show you their different sizes of geraniums.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some that are meant for, the little petite small pots, and then others that are meant for the really big landscape spots. So you're going to be able to see all the different sizes the whole way through.
Yeah.
If you want to do like a pro move, I'm sure that you could ask the garden center, like, hey, what variety of geraniums are these, or whatever type of plant you're looking for? And are they more suitable for my garden?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think that the average person at the garden center is going to know that. They might even have to go to the grower to figure that one out.
Yeah.
But that's a good question to ask because before you buy it, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but if you want to be really safe, a good idea to do is take a 10-inch pot, buy a 10-inch pot instead. Like if you're going to do geraniums in your garden, buy a 10-inch pot instead and split up the plants that are in there. Usually there's 3 geraniums in a 10-inch. Mm-hmm. So you split those up, and then you plant those into the garden because those are varieties that are supposed to fill out a larger pot.
And probably would save you some money there too.
You can, yeah. That can save some money. Versus like 3 different 6-inch, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Awesome, guys. Okay, that's all we have for today. Remember, if you have any questions, plantcare.club. And
if you have any questions about specific varieties that will grow for your garden, for specific things you're looking for, send us a question.
Absolutely.
Let us know.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.